Jackson Arnold just dropped a game-changing statement that has Oklahoma fans buzzing. Brent Venables talking about guys coming off the injury report. And what did they say and why does it matter? We're going to dive into it today. Before we do that, as always, make sure you guys are joining the discussion. If you're new to the channel, make sure you guys hit that like, hit the subscribe button because it's game week and we're playing the Missouri Tigers. This is what some would like to call a rivalry renewed. Let's just say it. It's an acquaintance that we're meeting once again. It's not a rivalry when you have dominated it, and Missouri's biggest win streak against you is 2 games. But in the post-game practices, the media gets an opportunity to talk to the players, and generally the quarterback is made available at some level. And Jackson Arnold this week, he had some interesting things to say about some guys that have been on the availability report. And we'll talk about Wednesday's availability report towards the end of the video, so stay tuned for that, because I think we're going to see some pretty interesting things about some guys that are listed on there and some things that we could possibly see change. But Jackson Arnold specifically was talking about and was being asked about 2 wide receivers that have had a lot of speculation potentially about coming back this week. And the first one's Deion Burks. Deion Burks, he played in the first couple of games for Oklahoma, got hurt with that soft tissue injury, had a little bit of a setback a couple weeks ago. But this is the game that you would target for him to come back. And the big reason why is you look at Jalil Farouk as a possible returning wide receiver for Oklahoma. And if you can identify 2 of those wide receivers to be able to come back and help lead an offense where the wide receivers have been one of the chronic pain points of this offense, that's going to be extremely helpful to Jackson Arnold and the Oklahoma offense. Now, you might be asking, well, what makes you think that that's going to happen? Because we've been told for weeks Deion Burks is coming back, and then he doesn't. Jackson Arnold is pretty, what's the word you want to use? Emphatic that they're going to be available, that they're going to be on the field in this game. And the last time that he was this excited to tell us all about a wide receiver that he was working with in practice was Nick Anderson. And Nick Anderson ended up playing in that Tennessee game, but he got hurt. So maybe there's something there. Maybe Jackson Arnold accidentally revealed the strategy for Oklahoma, because I'm sure Brent Venables didn't want Missouri to get a heads up that these guys would be playing. But that's kind of where I think it takes us to what Brent Venables talked about earlier in the week. Because, again, with Jalil Farouk and Burks being officially listed as questionable on the initial availability report, Brent Venables talked about in practice how, and specifically about Jalil Farouk, about how he's working really hard to make a quick return and a quick impact, right? He just said, hey, we're going to see how the week goes. So when you hear things like that, you hear that Jalil Farouk was making good timing with getting out of the boot and things like that, getting in some of these practices, getting in some of these one-on-ones, like that makes you feel good, right? So if Jalil Farouk and Deion Burks are able to return for Oklahoma, right now I think the line's at -3 for Oklahoma. You would imagine that line's probably going to go up a little bit more for OU. Now, you look at the initial availability report for Oklahoma, and we might need to break this down for a second, because there's a couple guys on this list that you don't want to see on this list. The first one's Javonte Barnes, right? He's been the best running back for Oklahoma. And last week he had, the 200-yard week with almost 400 yards of rushing offense. So I think we saw a couple times where Javonte Barnes was hit pretty hard in that game. Ended up having to come out a couple times. This probably is just him being banged up, right? To me, this feels like the typical NFL play where a guy's listed as questionable, but he's going to play in that Sunday game or that Thursday game, but they want to list him as questionable to maybe give them a competitive advantage. And, you're not playing Maine, right? So there's no need to put out an injury report that is going to mislead the opponents. You're playing Missouri, so you need to be able to put one out this week that can kind of keep Missouri on their toes. So I don't think Javonte Barnes will be out. I do think you get Jalil Farouk, you get Deion Burks back. Gavin Sawchuk's the other running back you look at on this list and go, okay, what's wrong with him? Gavin Sawchuk, I think, will be back in this game. I thought he was dealing with a hamstring injury, but potentially could be back. That's good news. That gets you your 1B back. And remember, in a Jeff Levy offense, this is what we saw in the bowl game. This is what we saw against FSU, right? So you potentially could see what you saw against FSU with these two backs, right? And that would make you feel good. You see PJ Adebawore. I heard something about an ankle. Not sure if he's going to be back. So we're not going to necessarily count on that one. I would imagine, though, he wants to play in Missouri, being from Kansas City. And then you've got Joshua Bates and Michael Tarquin, two on the offensive line. You know, Joshua Bates being a backup for Troy Everett. I think you want to make sure Josh Bates is healthy and ready to go in this game. Michael Tarquin, I think you need him at tackle. You don't want to have to start Brown in this game, especially when you're already probably going to have to start Logan Howland at left tackle. So, in my opinion, what I think Oklahoma should do is they should start Isaiah Autry-Dent at right tackle and put Michael Tarquin in at left tackle to give Jackson Arnold a little bit more peace of mind, put it a little bit at ease to know that that blind side is being protected by a senior veteran and somebody that he can trust. So you're watching those two on the offensive line to see, are they going to be healthy? Ethan Downs, somebody said back spasms. I can't remember who it was. Sure, it was probably one of the Scoop guys, said back spasms, and I'm sure he'll be back from that. Again, I don't think Ethan Downs wants to miss too many games in his senior year. Quite a few guys on this injury availability report for Oklahoma. And I think the big one, the biggest player out of all the availability reports that we're going to see this week that everybody's going to pay attention to is Missouri's Brady Cook. Will he play in this game, or is Missouri going to end up playing Drew Pine? Because whichever one of those two quarterbacks starts, it's going to make a difference on what Oklahoma is going to be able to do on the field. Defensively, I'm not worried about Oklahoma, but Brady Cook not playing is going to make your lives a lot easier. And then, like I said, you get Jalil Burke back, you get Deion Burks back. This offense should run a little bit more smoother because Jackson Arnold talked about how, you know, there might be a little bit more trust there with Jalil Farouk, right? You know, it sucked to see him go down in the first play, like, you know, his first catch of the season. But Jalil Farouk is one of the most seniored wide receivers in that room. That is a guy that Jackson Arnold can trust, whether he's on the outside or in the slot. So Jalil Farouk coming back to get with Jackson Arnold in a, what we presume is a Jeff Levy offense, I think you could see Jalil Farouk and Jackson Arnold put up big numbers together. So, guys, I want to hear from y'all. Make sure you guys join the discussion. Jump down in the comments below. Give me your thoughts. And if you guys have not already and you guys have made it this far, make sure you guys hit that like and you hit that subscribe button.